Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of the Storytime Society. I'm your host Jamie, and I'm so happy you're here. I'm so glad you're alive. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Storytime Society. Okay, the theme for today's episode is True Off My Chest subreddit. So we have a good amount of stories here, and I think multiple of them have updates. So I feel weird right now because I'm filming on a Sunday, and I never film on Sundays, but I hope you guys are having the best day ever. I'm so out of whack right now. I don't even know when this will be posting, but we're going to get into the first story. Also, if you haven't already, press the subscribe button, please, and thank you. It really helps out with my channel, and if you like my channel, it would be great for support. Okay, love you guys. The title of the first story is, I think my husband is sleeping with his sister again. Long, ridiculous post, but bear with me. So, when my hubby was 12, his mother passed. At age 14, his father remarried. She also had a daughter his age. They all lived in one house. Apparently, my husband and his stepsister used to sneak around their parents and engage in adult activities. This went on for years. Me and my husband married at 23. I always thought my husband and his stepsister were close, but I just assumed it was from growing up together. A few years ago, I found out my husband was having an affair with his stepsister. I didn't even know what to do or say. I had no idea this relationship even existed. I can't even wrap my mind around it. Obviously, me and my husband entered counseling where I found out all the details from his childhood and just how close they really were. Somehow, I was able to overcome for the sake of our children. However, for the past few months, my husband has been acting weird. Coming home late, being protective of his phone, not wanting to have sex, he always does. And I swear, I can even smell his sister's perfume on him. We barely got through this the first time, and I'll be devastated if I find out it's happening again. My husband claims that she was his first love, but I'm his forever and after love, the one that he can't live without. Yikes. Okay, that's actually insane to me, and I know that it's not like your real sister. And I always make excuses too for people that like go their whole lives without knowing that they're brother and sister, and then they're find out that they're dating. But I don't know why, for some reason, when it's like, you guys are, you guys, how do I even explain it? You guys are like chosen family, okay? And then after you decide your family, or I guess the law decides that you're family because your parents get married, then you start hooking up. So knowing that you're my stepsister, I mean, it's not blood, so like technically, is it really that bad? No. But like it's just weird to me because I have stepsisters, and like if I found out my brother was hooking up with my stepsister, it would be just as weird for me to find out that my brother was hooking up with my stepsister as it would be to find out that my brother is hooking up with my actual real sister, who is his blood sister as well. Because we have always just considered my stepsisters as real sisters. Like, I say, if someone asks if I have siblings, I'm like, yeah, I have four siblings, and that's the end of the story. I don't know. I consider them, maybe it's because I was so little when I met them when I was like 3 years old. My parents didn't get or my stepmom and my dad didn't get married until I was like 7, but still it's weird. It's weird. I don't know. It's just weird. And like if I found out that my husband was like sleeping with his stepsister, I would be so grossed out that I don't think I could get through it. I don't think I could get past it. Because I would just feel like sister, like sister. I wouldn't even think about the step part, which I realize is a huge difference, but it just still feels so weird to me. Okay, let's read some comments. I'm his forever and after love, the one he can't live without. LOL, okay, keep thinking that. LOL, even though he risks losing his whole family to bang the aunt, I think I know who the husband really can't live without. I think you mean stepsister, not aunt, but otherwise totally agree. That's his kid's aunt. Oh, okay. That makes sense. I think she's saying that is what he's told her. Obviously, if he couldn't live without her, he wouldn't risk losing her, or he just thinks she won't leave, or she's a cover so no one suspects his relationship with his stepsister. Well, I can only blame myself for clicking on this thread. I wish I didn't have eyes. Incest isn't on the rise in the US, and I just learned the other day that over the past 10 years, the amount of people arrested for the crimes involving bestiality has quadrupled, so no, we're not going to make it. Ew. Well, that's technically not incest, though. Maybe people are thinking, I don't know. Honestly, not sure what's worse. He keeps banging the stepsister, or OP still in there trying to fight for this train wreck. I don't know. I hope that he stops, or he's not actually. I hope that he's not actually this time, so that like she can continue moving forward. But obviously, if she's always going to continue having these suspicions for like the rest of her life, then I don't know what what the point is in staying in a marriage when it's ruined, right? Like if that's something that you're gonna, every time he comes home late, or you feel like he's acting suspicious, even if he isn't acting suspicious, like sometimes your brain can just convince you that he's acting suspicious, then that's probably not worth your life. I don't know. Like I personally feel like it's not worth it if you have to continuously like wonder if that's going to start up again or not. And it's just kind of crazy to me. But I guess it's not really incest, so I don't know. Let me know. What do you guys think? We're going to move on to the next story, though. Okay. Hi guys. Sorry to interrupt, but if you want extra content weekly, go to my Patreon. It's patreon.com/storytimesociety. If you want to listen on Spotify because you're trying to fall asleep or you're driving, then head to the link in the description. And if you're there and you don't mind, please rate me 5 stars on there. It really helps with the algorithm. And then the last thing is we have a subreddit linked below. We have a lot of things linked below, but the subreddit, you can share any stories that you want to share. Okay, thanks. Love you guys. My husband passed away, and his ex-girlfriend wants me to adopt their kids. This is sort of a long story, but I need to share because I'm feeling so overwhelmed. Everyone in my life has an opinion, some very strong opinions, and I just want a place to vent and to get some unbiased opinions. My husband died 1 week before Thanksgiving. We were unofficially separated at the time. We were not living together. I still loved him, but I had chosen to distance myself due to his drug addiction in hopes that he would seek treatment and get clean. He was seeking help, but it was not enough, and he overdosed. He had trouble with drugs when he was younger, like college age, but he got clean, and I believe he stayed clean for many years. He had a girlfriend back then who also became addicted to drugs, and they had 2 kids. Ultimately, he got clean, had a good job, had his life in order, and was doing everything he was supposed to, and he was awarded custody of their 2 kids. I actually knew him back in elementary and middle school. We lost touch when we attended different high schools. We didn't meet again until after that first instance of addicted and recovery. He had been clean for a few years when we met. His kids were 5 and 3, and they're 10 and 8 now. Their mom had supervised visitation. I have no biological children of my own. He passed away, and I'm devastated over it. I can't really accept it yet, but I feel especially crushed for his children. They haven't had an easy time over the past year or so as he's dealt with his problems, and now they've suffered the ultimate loss. I've remained in their lives even while we were separated and not living together. He moved back in with his parents and took his girls with him, but I still visited them often and remained involved in all aspects of their lives. I never called myself their mom, but I essentially was their mom on a day-to-day basis. I did all the things a mom would do. Their mom was recently arrested on a burglary-related charge and is in prison. This happened after he died. I thought she was doing better. She was at his memorial and seemed more together than many times in the last. She wrote me a very heartbreaking and heartfelt letter asking me to adopt her daughters. She basically admitted she doesn't know if she'll ever overcome her addiction and that she doesn't want the girls to go live with relatives on either side. She wants them to stay with me because it's what they know now and feels like they're safe. She said they asked her if they can come live with me and referred to my house, our former family house, as their home. I wasn't expecting that at all. She hadn't been particularly fond of me before. She's been talking for years about how she's going to get clean for her girls and get custody of them again, and she actually had some good moments, but it just never stuck. I feel like the world's worst person by not immediately saying yes. I haven't responded to her at all yet. I feel like the world's most evil person. I love those girls. I've lived with them as essentially their mom for several years. I've worried about them every single day. Yet why do I find myself thinking, do I really want to do this? I also don't know if it'll be possible and or what kind of fight it would be. I don't think his parents will agree so easily. I got along with his parents just fine, but they're a big family and they are absolutely destroyed by his death, so I can't imagine they'd let the girls go without a big fight. I can't help but wonder what kind of possibly lifelong mess I'd be getting myself into if I pursued this. Dealing with her, both sides of the girl's extended family, the trauma the girls will probably be dealing with forever because of their parents. I don't know if I'm strong enough to handle it all, and it makes me feel like a horrible human being. Okay, well, it's really a huge, huge deal to take care of kids, and it's 100% your right to decide if you want to or not, and it's 100% your right to take the time needed to decide if that's something you would truly want to do, because I don't think that it makes you a terrible person to say no. I mean, obviously, like, as someone that loves and cares for them and views them as their children, I feel like for them it would probably be the best possible outcome for them, because they view you as like basically their mom and they view your home as basically their home. But obviously, like, the way that would alter your life, you have the decision and you have the right to say no. I mean, that's really, at the end of the day, you do have the right to say no. Although I think personally, I would, and I'm not saying that like because I would say yes, that means she has to say yes. But in this situation personally, like from the context that she's giving me and also like how she feels about them, if I were in this same position, I think, but I'm not in this position also, so bear with me. But I think I would say yes, and I think I would care for the girls. Although I know that would be really hard and that it would come with a lot. But I know myself, and I know that if I was taking care of these kids as my own and worrying about them as my own, I could never let them not be within my care, because I would be worried about them for the rest of their lives and for the rest of my life. And I would much rather just like figure it out and figure out how to take care of them than have to worry about them for so long. But I'm not saying that she needs to say yes, because, like I said, she has the right to say no, and she has the right to make the decision that would fit best with her life, because you also don't want to take on something that you don't know if you can handle, or you think that you might not be able to handle, because then that will just end up being an even worse situation for them. So I don't know. Let's see what some comments are saying. This person said, a responsible person should spend some time thinking about it before answering. You are not a terrible person for needing to think through the logistics and carefully consider the impact on your life. Keep doing so until you arrive at a decision, and then commit to whatever you decide and don't look back. I say don't look back because whatever you decide will not be on a whim. You're going about this the right way. Trust yourself. Yeah, I agree with that. Someone said, I wholeheartedly agree. If she wasn't taking this very, very seriously and stopping to think, that would be irresponsible. Look before you leap. One thing I'm wondering about this is the expense this would inflict on OP. Kids are not cheap, and given the situation, I'm wondering if she can even afford it. From a practical standpoint, it might be better to foster, because then OP would probably get money every month, and the kids would probably get money and financial aid for secondary and higher education once they're old enough. However, that's giving up the legal protections of adoption. And because I'm cynical, I hope the money the grandparents receive for raising them doesn't interfere with their decisions as to what is best for those kids. That's true. I don't know I don't know how. Can you just foster kids until they're 18? I thought, for me, I don't know why, but I guess I thought like fostering kids meant that you were taking care of them, but the ultimate goal was for them to get adopted by either you or another family. So I don't know, but I mean, I did have adopted cousins, but I was also very young at the time as well, so I don't know like the legality of it. I do know that it's really sad, honestly, because my aunt was married to this man, and my uncle, she was married to this man, my uncle, but they got divorced. So like, I haven't seen him in so long that I don't really know if I consider him my uncle anymore. But he also remarried, so like he's not really even part of our family anymore. I don't know. But anyways, my aunt got married to this man who was my uncle, is my uncle, I don't know. And then I'm not sure if they couldn't have kids or what, but they ended up adopting two little kids, and they were like toddlers at the time. They were so cute. I loved them. I was like 4 or 5 years older than them, so I like was obsessed with them because I was also little, but like I don't know, when I was little I feel like I just loved like little kids, and I just loved like acting like I was a mom when I was little, even though these kids were like I don't know, it's a big difference when you're like 8 and they're 5 or 4. It's like such a big difference at that time. So I felt so much older, like I like wanted to take care of them. But then my aunt ended up really struggling for a long, long time, and she only recently came out of it. So probably for 20 years struggling really bad with an addiction. So obviously this affected my cousins who were adopted, and my uncle divorced her, got remarried. I think they had kids as well. And then my cousins, who I spent a lot of time with for a while, but then I didn't see them for a while because my dad kind of was estranged from his sister for a while because of like everything going on. He just couldn't handle the addiction and the back and forth with, which I 100% understand, and that it's like it's not easy to deal with. And yeah, so then my cousin started getting in a lot of trouble, and I don't really know what was happening at home, but apparently one of my cousins like pulled a knife when he was only like 8 or like 9. I could be getting the ages wrong, but he was young, like 8, 9, 10, I'm going to say, in that range, 8 to 10. And he like pulled a knife on my aunt, which I don't really know the exact situation, and I don't really know why I'm telling this story. It's just because like fostering and adoption came into my mind, and that's kind of like what my mind goes to, is the fact that my cousins were adopted. And I don't know what ended up happening after that, but I know that my aunt lost like full custody, and my cousins started living with my uncle and his family. And so like we never saw them. And I like barely saw my aunt for like a really long time. I still haven't really seen her that much, but I don't know. It's so crazy because I just think back to like how good my aunt was doing for so long. And I don't know if she had struggled with addiction previously, like before I was alive when she was younger or what. But I just remember like looking up to her as like she was very, very put together. She had everything like going for her. I loved going over to her house. She had so many like animals and birds, and she was just like so amazing. And then addiction took over her life, and literally everything came crashing down in her life, like everything. And I just think about that and how terrible that like must have been for her. And it's really sad. But yeah, that's my story. It wasn't really even a story because I don't know a lot of the details because I was also little at the time. So it's like I don't really know a lot of the details. I just know kind of what I heard in passing. But anyways, we're going to read the update to this story. So, update: my husband passed away and his ex-girlfriend wants me to adopt their kids. My husband died from a drug overdose in November 2024. He had drug issues when he was in his late teens/early 20s, got clean, and remained clean for many years. He had full custody of his two daughters, who are now 8 and 10. He relapsed sometime in 2024. He and I were separated and living apart at the time of his death. I had hoped that he'd get things back on track and we could be together again. The mother of his daughters is also a drug addict. She never managed to get and stay clean for any significant stretches. She's been arrested multiple times. She was at his memorial service and seemed to be in good shape for her, but she was arrested soon after that. She's still in jail now. When she first entered jail this last time, she wrote me a letter telling me she wanted me to adopt her daughters. They'd been living with my husband's parents, but had asked me several times about when they'd be able to go home to what had been our family home. I was basically their mom. I never referred to myself as their mom, and they didn't call me mom, but I filled that role. They had sporadic contact with their actual mother. In the letter she wrote me, she even told me they told her they wanted to live with me. I posted about this all 3 months ago. Since then, I've decided to pursue custody of them. It was a huge decision, and one that, while I spent a lot of time thinking about, I didn't have the luxury of taking too long. What finally tipped me over the edge was my former in-laws saying they didn't believe the girls should go to therapy to help them deal with their father's death and their virtually absent drug-addicted mother. It was shocking because what person in their right mind wouldn't think that these girls should have all the help that they can get? At the same time, it wasn't surprising coming from them. They lived in denial of their son's problems too. They were the biggest enablers I've ever met. They're extremely focused on image and achievement, just being the best. Sports, competition, I believe they had good intentions, but they don't that doesn't change how their actions affected their son, other children, or grandchildren. I never thought I'd be teaming up with my husband's ex-girlfriend, but here we are. This isn't easy for her. No, she's not been a present or good mom, but I know that she wishes that she was. I know it's hard for her to admit she can't be their mom, despite her problems and her track record of extreme selfishness. I can't imagine what it takes to give up custody of your children, and I'm glad she's finally putting her own wants aside to do what she thinks is best for her kids. I'm also very sorry for her that despite still having parental rights over the girls, she's not being granted the authority to allow them to be adopted by somebody she designates. I understand there needs to be safety measures in place to ensure children are placed with safe people, but I'm willing to do any sort of evaluations needed to prove that I can provide a safe and stable home for them. You'd think it would be as simple as her terminating her parental rights and indicating that she wants me to adopt the children, and while that is part of the process, it's not actually that cut and dry. His parents, who again are obsessed with winning everything, have already tried to block this with the courts. They're basically trying to file some sort of injunction where if their rights are severed, they get first chance to adopt where if her rights are severed, they get first chance to adopt the girls, and they are trying to drag me through the mud in the process and frame it to look like I can't be a fit parent. I may be single, but they're in their 60s. The girls love them, but they don't want to live with them full time. Up until last summer, our home, where they lived with me and their dad, had been their forever home for almost as long as they could remember. I'm not wealthy. I support myself just fine, but I don't have reserves to fight this way if they really want to take it that far. And the annoying thing is, I still get the sense that ultimately they're doing this just because they want to win, and they also have an obsession with family and their family name. I never expressed any intention of trying to sever the relationship between them and the girls. Even if I don't necessarily like or agree with certain things about them, I told them outright that I felt we could all and should be a part of the girls' lives. The girls do love their grandparents and their aunts, my husband's sisters, neither of which has shown any interest in gaining custody of the girls. I think they need as many people who love and care about them in their lives, and that even includes their mother's family, who I'd also grin and bear for their sake. I'm just so frustrated, and this isn't something that most people can easily relate to. I thankfully have many people who support me, even if they think I'm crazy for doing this at the same time. It's just that I suppose there's very little advice anyone can give me from experience. I definitely can't, but I'm going to say that I'm very happy that she did decide to. Obviously, like, I would have been, who am I? Why am I acting like I'm like the fucking presidential judge of decision making? But it would have been fine if she said no. Also, like, obviously, they could have been with their grandparents, which I'm sure, you know, being with OP is definitely the better outcome for them, but I'm sure their grandparents also have good intentions, but I'm really glad that she made the decision to keep them. I am really glad, because I just feel like knowing that that is what they want is such a huge reason for that. I feel like for them to be able to be placed with her. Okay. Some comments. Wow, with all the selfish, stupid things that are happening right now, here comes the wife of a drug addict taking on his kids. You are a superstar. Thank you for loving them, and please let us know how this plays out. All kudos to the bio mom, right? Dealing with addiction is hard, and she's aware that she can't provide what she needs for her 8-year-old and 10-year-old, but giving up your parental rights is still a huge sacrifice to keep your kids safe, in my opinion. Yeah, 100%. That's honestly so, like, that's very good and amazing of her to do that, because obviously, like, it's hard. It's such a hard decision to make, and I feel like you just want to be able to take care of your kids, but to know and be self-aware enough to know that, like, that's just not where you are at in life, and that you've tried and tried and tried, and, like, you've never been able to fully become a responsible parent. I think it's okay to admit defeat, and just because, like, for the sake of your children to, like, grow up and have a better life than you could give them. Just like I think, well, yeah, this is adoption. So, like, even with, like, pregnant women who decide that they want to adopt or set their baby up for adoption. Give their baby away for adoption, not set their baby up. Anyways, we're going to move on to the next story. The title is, I don't like my new baby at all. I, 30 female, recently had a baby. This is my second child and my first child with my husband, 31 male. I thought I'd love this baby with all my heart, considering my husband and I have an insanely wonderful relationship. He has also taken in my first child like his own, and we have a perfect family. But truthfully, I can't stand this baby. My firstborn is perfect in my eyes. Clever, beautiful, well-behaved. I love spending time with her. She is my soulmate of babies. Even as a newborn, I absolutely adored her. This baby, another girl, just ain't it. Even the pregnancy was terrible. The childbirth was terrible. Everything about her is just awful. She cries nonstop. She's not as cute as my firstborn. She spends all of her awake time being pissed off. She's 8 weeks old, and I spend my days just waiting for my husband to get home so I can give her to him. I haven't told him about this either because this is his only baby. I'm sure in his eyes she's a perfect little angel. Of course, I'll never act on anything. Anytime she cries, I respond, I love on her, talk to her, treat her just as I would my firstborn, even when nobody is around. I love on this baby the way a baby needs to be loved. Smiles, kind voices, cuddles, kisses, everything. I'm just so over this kid. Maybe if I could spend 5 minutes of my time with her without her screaming in my face, maybe I could bond with her. Even when she's not crying, she just ignores me. I hate everything about this and really don't care for this baby, and I'll take this secret to the grave with me, but I really wish my heart had room for this kid. Edit below, I wasn't expecting this to blow up. I'll post an update in a few months, hopefully a positive one. A few notes though. Before jumping to poor baby, terrible mother BS, please do research. This is not uncommon for a mom to not bond. I'm just the ballsy one to say it on Reddit on a throwaway account. She's not abused. She's the light of my husband's life. She is always in our arms. Her big sister is obsessed and absolutely adores her sister. If anything, I spent all my waking hours trying to bond with her, so this little one gets extra cuddles and attention. I don't hate the baby, I just don't like her. I don't wish anything bad on her. For those asking, no, we have absolutely no support. No friends, no family. This is a new city for us. I haven't even slept in my own bed since her birth, as my husband works 60 hours a week and he can't function with baby waking him up. I haven't had a 4-hour-long sleep since her birth. I haven't been able to cook a meal in 8 weeks. I'm lucky if I get a 10-minute shower. Yes, I'm in therapy and I've been working with a doctor for PPD. Yes, baby is seeing a doctor for possible reflux issues, milk allergy, and we are currently trying a specialized formula. That's wild, but at the same time, I've heard stories like this before. And obviously it's not something that a lot of people talk about because it's not something that, it sounds terrible. And I can't say that I've had this experience or that I can relate to this or that I can understand where she's coming from because I've never had a baby myself. So any input that I have is really kind of uneducated and naive because I could say oh, well, I would love my baby no matter what, but I don't know that for sure. And I've heard of people not being able to bond with their baby for a while, but then obviously as they get older, they start to love their baby. I mean, I can kind of compare it to my cats, I guess. Not really, but kind of. I feel like if you have multiple cats, you usually bond with one or two differently. Not that I don't love all my cats. I love all my cats to death, but they all have such different personalities. So it's one of my cats is very loving and affectionate and cuddly. So obviously that one I feel like I'm a little bit more bonded with because she gives me attention. Does that make sense? My other two cats, one of my other cat will cuddle, but she's very specific on when she wants to cuddle. And she's very specific about how she wants to cuddle. My Willa, my one cat, she will cuddle it anyway. I can squeeze her, I can toss her, I can swing her around my shoulders and put her in a different position, and she's just chilling, she's cuddling, she's the most cuddly baby ever, especially when she's really in the mood to cuddle, which she'll cuddle with you at any time pretty much. But then my other girl cat, Poppy, she's more picky about when she wants to cuddle with you. So, but I do feel because she's my first cat, I bonded with her also differently. I don't know, they're all just different bonds. Not that I love any of them differently. I love them all the same. But then like Frankie, he never cuddles with us ever. He's in his own world. He doesn't give a shit about us unless we're feeding him, which I love him for that as well. Like I love them all for different reasons, but obviously it's so different because like it's not a baby, and the amount of effort that I have to put into to take care of my cats is literally like 1/1000th of the amount of effort that you have to take care of to take, or that you have to put in to take care of a newborn. So I can understand where the comparison is definitely like very not the same at all. Sorry, I had to just check that and make sure I was recording. But that's all I can really compare it to because I have never had a kid. So I'll let you guys know in like 5 years when I have a kid and tell you. I don't know if I would come on here and be like, if I really didn't bond with my kid and I like didn't like my kid, I don't know if I would be able to be like, guys, I don't like my kid. I'd probably think it, but I probably wouldn't be able to say it out loud because I'd feel like I would definitely probably go to therapy for it because I'd be like, oh my God, am I okay? But let's read some comments. This person said, do you think it's possible you have postpartum depression? I think you should talk to your doctor about these feelings. Someone said, I had PPD with my last and final child. I couldn't bond. I felt ignored. A lot of what OP feels. He was colicky. He had to have constant motion to sleep, so there was some difficulty for him. I knew I wasn't feeling right. It took around a year before I had felt it. I was under control. He's 8 now and the apple of my eye. I had a great physician, so thankfully she was able to recognize how I was feeling and she helped recover from it. OP, talk with someone you can be frank with, a professional. I can relate to your words so well. It just happens. It's not your fault and it's not a failure. Sometimes we just need extra help and your hormones are way out of whack yet. It's not easy to bounce back. Yeah, I mean, I think it's good for like someone to post about this because I'm sure if it's something that's like a common experience, then I'm sure that people can look at this and be like, feel better. And then they can take this and use it as a tool or guidance to see what they can do to try to help them bond with their kid. I mean, I feel like it's better to be open about struggles, especially as a mother, because so like just there's so much stuff that I feel like isn't talked about because sometimes mothers can feel like shame over around these types of things. And so it prevents them from talking about it and like spreading awareness about it. And then it's like, here we are, never had kids, but then are planning to have kids. And there's all these things that we don't know is normal when we give birth or raise a kid. And I feel like there's just so much stuff that we don't know and also like is just never talked about. I've learned so much stuff even the past 5 years of my life. Like I didn't know babies couldn't drink water. Are you kidding? But I mean, good thing like I took care of my niece and I never thought about giving her water, but thank God I didn't. I never was like, she needs water. I just knew I feed her this milk that my sister pumps out of her boobies, and that's it, But I didn't know that you can give them water. That's crazy. I didn't know they could die from drinking water. That's actually insane to me. Like, I would think they would need water. So thank God I learned that. Jesus. Okay. I don't like my new baby at all. Update. About a month ago, I made a post about how much I didn't like my newborn. She was 8 weeks old. Well, a few days later, I took her back to the doctor. He put her on a dairy-free formula, Alimentum, which smells like potato stroganoff. Ew. The changes started overnight, and the very next day I woke up and looked in her bassinet to see an awake baby giving me the biggest, cheesiest smile in the world. Since then, her personality has shown through drastically. It's honestly really fun to witness. My husband has also been an enormous help, reassuring me, letting me sleep, helping every moment he can. He also went back down to a normal amount of hours at work to help me more. It's still rough. She still doesn't fully sleep through the night. I consider her being a little more of a firecracker to be part of her personality. She might never be as easy as her sister, but I wouldn't change her if I could. Her sister and her are night and day, totally different, but I can honestly say I love it. I love having one angel and one fired up rebel. Having this little semen demon smiling at me really changed so much in my head. Even in the worst moments, I know she loves me, and I just melt over her. She's got the most beautiful smile in the world, along with all her hilarious, angry faces. To anyone else who is going through what I did, give yourself some grace. This phase will pass. Her turning a page development-wise, plus SSRIs for PPD, have absolutely changed our relationship. I can very honestly say I no longer have a favorite child. They're both incredible. Edit, all hateful messages will be responded to with cat gifts and nothing else. Thanks for your time. Keep it moving. I love that. Slay Queen. Here is another win for medication and just figuring out what works for, obviously, because having something that isn't going to react well with your kid is definitely not. It's so annoying that, like, obviously this is the case, but it's so annoying that babies can't just tell you what's wrong and they're just like crying, and it's just so hard, especially when it's just like takes so much effort to figure it out, because it's like you can try and try and try, and then finally maybe the 10th thing you find works. But it's like, oh my God, that would be such a relief to finally find something that like turns things around and like makes a total 180. The top comment says, potato stroganoff is being generous to the smell of alimentum. It's the smell of nightmares. I'm so happy your baby is doing well on it. It was a game changer for us too. OP said it's so bad. If I hold her too long, she sweats on me and I smell of moldy cheese for the rest of the day. That's disgusting. I don't even know what potato stroganoff smells like, though. Potato stroganoff? What is that? To me, alimentum smells like a very dirty, very wet dog. But yes, it was also a game changer for us. Also had a baby on alimentum. Every day, I would count my lucky stars that he gulped it down, especially at the very beginning when I was combo feeding. I'm like, how on earth can he get a little bit of breast milk and then settle for this shit so contentedly? Just so thankful. Well, you know what's so crazy is that I saw this Instagram post, and it was like, or this TikTok, I don't know. And it was like showing the ingredients of something, and it was like, guess what this is the ingredients of? And it was like A, ice cream, B, chocolate milk, 3, infant formula. And the ingredients were insanely scary. I feel like they were gushers. Like, they were so bad that you would think it was literally gushers or Mountain Dew or something, or both combined into one fucking Mountain Dew gushers. It was so crazy. It was like, that's insane. And then on top of that, it's like, because I was like to my boyfriend, well, that's like really scary and really sad. Hopefully I can breastfeed when we have kids. And he was like, well, I'm sure there's options that are healthier. And I'm like, yeah, but formula is already so expensive as it is, that I'm sure the healthier options are like way more expensive, which is so scary to think about, especially because you don't know if you can breastfeed or not, or even if it's something that is like, because I don't know. It's so scary to not know how your body's going to react, because obviously I could not even be able to breastfeed, or I could be able to breastfeed a lot, and then maybe it makes me develop something, or maybe I don't like breastfeeding, or maybe I hate breastfeeding, or maybe it really hurts. I don't know. That's so scary to me, not knowing how your body's going to react to anything. I don't even know how my body's going to react to birth, which is even more scary, because it's like, am I going to die? That's my biggest fear, actually. I'm going to be so terrified when I'm pregnant. I feel like I'm just going to have anxiety every day thinking about what's going to happen when I have to give birth. How do you get over that, other than like having a kid? Because I feel like your first baby, since you don't know, it's like such a fear of unknowns. So how do you get over that? Let me know. Comment down below. How do you get over that? Because I'm really scared. I don't know when I'm going to be ready to have a kid. Like, I don't know when I'm going to not be anxious about having a baby. Just having a baby, like my body. I'm excited to be pregnant. Well, I don't know how I'm going to react to pregnancy either. But if it's good pregnancy for me, I'm excited. But the thing I'm scared about is birth. That's so scary to me. Just not knowing, like, what is my body going to do? Am I going to be okay? Am I going to have to, like, am I going to have to get an emergency C-section like my sister? God forbid. Okay, anyways. I'm going to have an anxiety attack if I think about that for too long. But I hope that you guys enjoyed this episode, and let me know what you thought about all of these stories. I am posting soon on my vlog channel a little chit chat with me. I don't even know what I talked about. I just like fucking rambled while I ate sushi for a good 20-30 minutes. But hoping to start picking up posting there a little bit more often, more personal, fun stuff about my life and just my life. That's really it. So if you're interested in that, the link is in the description below. So yeah. Anyways, I'll talk to you guys in the next episode, and I love you guys so much. Can't wait to talk to you guys. See you later. Bye. Love you guys. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe.